Now, climate activism may be up for debate, but here's something that's not. China's plans for Taiwan. Right from the start, Beijing has been clear-eyed. Taiwan must be brought under Chinese control, even if that means invading by force. Monday was further proof of it. China sent 30 warplanes into Taiwan's air defense zone. 30 planes in one day. It was the biggest Chinese incursion since January. And how did Taiwan respond? By sending fighters of their own. Eventually, the PLA jets buzzed off from the air defense zone. But the standoff is far from over. With each incursion, China is becoming emboldened. Each time, they're sending more and more jets. So what's their game plan here? Two parts to it. A, to test Taiwan's defense capabilities, their response times, their aerial capabilities, all of it. And B, to keep Taiwan on their toes. Think back to Joe Biden's remarks last week. He promised to defend Taiwan if China invaded. Comments like those are a shot of confidence for Taiwan, perhaps a precursor to China's worst nightmare, a formal declaration of independence by Taiwan. That is China's worst nightmare among its worst. So these incursions are sort of like a reminder, a rude but powerful reminder. And Monday's incursion had the perfect trigger, a high-profile visit by US Senator Tammy Duckworth. She represents the US state of Illinois. Now, this visit is important for two reasons. One, because Senator Duckworth belongs to Joe Biden's Democratic Party, and two, because she's a retired lieutenant colonel of the US National Guard. In fact, she's a staunch advocate of stronger US-Taiwan military cooperation.
Last July, Senator Duckworth was one of the main sponsors of the Taiwan Partnership Act, which received bipartisan support in the US Congress. As a result, the US Department of Defense is now proactively planning cooperation between the US National Guard and Taiwan's defense forces. Senator Duckworth also recently introduced a bill that further prioritizes Taiwan's security as a part of US military deployment in the Indo-Pacific region.
If Chinese planes are threatening Taiwan, it's Chinese ships for the Philippines. China has imposed a unilateral fishing ban on waters near the Spratly Islands. Fun fact, these islands actually belong to the Philippines, not China. This was recognized by a United Nations court in 2016, but China does not seem to care. They claim almost the entire South China Sea. PLA ships routinely sail through these routes. They enter sovereign waters. They harass fishermen, more like pirates than a navy. But this time, Manila has had enough. They summoned the Chinese ambassador to register their protest. Even the language is strong. China's activities have been described as clear violation of Philippine maritime jurisdiction. So the Philippines is standing up to China, but for how long? Pretty soon, there will be a new president in Manila, Bongbong Marcos. Right now, he's still the president-elect, but on the 30th of June, he will officially take charge, which means a new administration, a new foreign office. And rumor is, Bongbong Marcos is closer to China. A couple of reasons for that. One is that his family has cases pending against them in the United States. In 1995, in fact, a court in Hawaii ordered Marcos to pay $2 billion to the victims of his father's rule. That order is still pending. Reason number two, Bongbong's China connection goes way back. In 1974, he visited China as an 18-year-old. There are pictures of a beaming Bongbong meeting Mao Zedong. Having said that, the new president cannot openly embrace China. After all, he's a populist. And populists cannot sacrifice on territorial integrity. If they do, they will lose public support. Bongbong Marcos is towing the same line. He plans to uphold the UN verdict of 2016. At the same time, he plans to have warm ties with Beijing. Tough job, isn't it? Almost as tough as trapping tiny islands in your security net. I'm talking about China's Grand Pacific Pact. It turned out to be a grand failure. We told you about it yesterday. But Foreign Minister Wang Yi is not done yet. Despite the setback, his island hopping continues. Today he was in Tonga. He met the Prime Minister and the King. He signed a couple of bilateral deals, but nothing substantial. Certainly not a defense pact. But knowing China, they will try again, and next time the outcome could be different. I'll tell you why. 2/3 of Tonga's external debt is owned by one group, China's Export-Import Bank. At the same time, their biggest donors are Australia and New Zealand. Now, do you see the problem here? Debt is a legal liability. You pay up or you face action. But donations do not work like that. And most Pacific islands are grappling with the same dilemma. Chinese debt on one hand, liberal democratic principles on the other. They stood up for principles this week. But to sustain that choice, they will need assistance. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.